Hi, I'm John Tesh, and welcome to One on One. If I said bald head, Tootsie Roll Pop, and Who Loves You, Baby, you'd say Telly Savalas. But do you know why he decided to shave his head? He did it for a part, and it wasn't Kojak. He first shaved his head when he played Pontius Pilate in the movie The Greatest Story Ever Told, but it was one of Kojak's trademarks. Telly was nominated for 4 Emmys playing the New York police captain, and the show was one of the most popular shows of the 70s. And while Telly was ruling primetime, Deidre Hall was reigning over daytime. The winner of 5 Soap Opera Digest Awards for Best Actress, Deidre became a star playing psychiatrist Dr. Marlena Evans Brady on Days of Our Lives. She was nominated for 3 Emmys and was so popular that when the writers tried to kill off her character, there were actually pickets outside the studio. Deidre ultimately left Days for a primetime contract to star in Our House with Wilford Brimley. That show lasted 2 seasons. And Days fans are happy again to have Deidre Hall back in the role she made famous. So stay tuned for Deidre Hall and Telly Savalas. He was the police lieutenant who wore a 3-piece suit, liked an occasional lollipop, and always asked the question, "Who loves you, baby?" The series was Kojak, and the street-smart cop with the soft center was Telly Savalas.
Come on, I'm a super cop. I'm only out for big busts. And besides, I'm not Irish. I don't even look Irish. Huh? Do I?
For a guy who never started out to be an actor, he did all right, thank you. His second film role in 1962 was in the original Cape Fear, a film many consider to be a classic.
Let me take you down to the Homicide Bureau. I'll show you photographs of girls who got mixed up with men like Katie. And Miss Taylor, it'll make you sick.
That same year, with a little less hair but a bigger role, he won an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor in The Birdman of Alcatraz, co-starring Burt Lancaster.
For the first time since I've been in Star, them baby canaries, they make me feel good.
We intended asking your lordship's permission.
You have it.
It was in a 1965 film, The Greatest Story Ever Told, when Telly played Pontius Pilate, that he decided to shave his head.
I care nothing either for your superstitions or your God. I'm here to keep order in this desert land, and that I will do. I want to hear nothing more about this troublemaker or anyone like him.
He's kept the look ever since.
Well, Michael, I see you've got a sense of humor.
In 1967, he was cast in one of his most memorable roles to date, as one of the 12 convicts sent on a suicide mission in The Dirty Dozen.
Vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. Paul to the Romans, chapter 12.
When Kojak premiered in 1973, Telly Savalas became a major star.
Don't anybody move. For the next hour, you belong to me.
Soon after, Telly made his singing debut, and although critics were less than kind, the audiences loved him. And in 1976, he hosted his own television special called Telly, Who Loves You, Baby?
Beautiful girl, would you walk a little slower when you walk by me?
On that same show, Telly danced with his younger brother Teddy and sang to his 3 daughters.
The men in my little girl's life, the men.
Family has always been important to Telly. Of his 3 brothers, Teddy, Gus, and George, it was George who co-starred with him on Kojak. George died of leukemia in 1985. Today, Telly is raising a brand new family. He's Papa all over again to Christian and Ariana. He is some 30 years older than his wife, Julie, and claims he's never been happier. We met him at Telly's, a sports bar named after him in the hotel where he has lived for 21 years. He challenged me to a game of pool. I lost. Telly Savalas may be a macho guy, but he's one with a very big heart. When you were playing Kojak, you were known as, for that character, as a sex symbol.
You must be joking.
You know I'm not. Were you comfortable with that?
It confused me. Don't get me wrong, it confused me for what you see on screen is a bald-headed guy making a living. You know, if you turn him into a sex symbol, that's not my fault. But I love the rumor. I love that kind of exploitation.
What do you think made you a sex symbol?
My sentimentality, my affection for people, my soft nature, my altogether warm, compassionate personality. And I'm a warm, compassionate guy. I preach nonviolence all the time. I don't like heroes. I really don't. Bad or good, I despise heroes or portraying heroes on a screen. My hero's another kind of guy. My hero's the kind of a guy who can walk away from something which is ugly and violent.
Is that you?
Lately, yeah. Not as a kid. You know, otherwise I never would have gone this far.
Were you a tough kid, quiet kid, crazy?
All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had to be in order to survive. You know, I grew up in New York, too. You know, in my young years. You know, we'd steal a little. I'd go to Macy's. I think I was about 9. You know what a flexible flyer is?
Sled.
It's a sled. It's a sled about that tall, right? And I'm about that tall. Now it's Christmas time. I saw Santa Claus. And now I'm walking out of Macy's with a flexible flyer under my coat. And the cop says, the store man, where you going? I says, I'm going home. He said, where you going with that? I said, Santa Claus gave it to me. He asked me what I wanted for Christmas. I said, a sled. He said, you got it. So I took it. Don't you know, he showed up 2 days later at my house, and I thought he was going to blow the whistle on me, right? But all he said to my mother was, Madam, you know, your child should be escorted by an adult when you come into Macy's. And that's all he said. So I got away with murder.
You and I have in common something that I've never had in common with anybody I've interviewed yet. That's that we grew up in the same place, Garden City, Long Island. What was it like being second-generation Greek living in a town, a white bread town like Garden City?
What was it like? Although you know how big the houses are in Garden City.
Right.
And we lived in one of those big houses.
Well, it was an exclusive community.
Yeah. But my house in Garden City was like a hotel, in that it never closed. You know, it was open night and day because uncles would come and cousins would come, and the doors were always open. And that's how we grew up. And then a war came, and all of a sudden the house is empty. You know, all the guys are gone. My brothers went off to war. I went off to war. And there's this big house and this white community, as you say, but they were very protective toward my family while I was gone. And then we had to sell the house in Garden City.
Was that a really tough time for you, having to leave that house?
It's more a tough time for my mother. You know, Pop had passed away, and then everybody's gone. You know, I got married, and Gus is away doing his diplomatic thing. George as well is away. And there's my brother Teddy in the house, and my kid sister. So Mom's going to sell the house. And they're sitting there at the table. And some executive from TWA was going to buy it. And everything's all set, and the congratulations are going around. And then the guy asked my mother for the key.
It is heartening to see how much love you have for your mom. And you took really, really good care of her, didn't you?
Yeah, isn't that the rule?
Yeah. Well, some people don't obey that rule. And I think you should be real proud of yourself.
She came to visit me some 16 years ago. She just stayed. You know, she didn't go back, so we kept paying for it back there, and my mother decided to stay here, and she had a ball, and I'm glad she did. Suffice to say that when they asked my mother for the key, my mother said, we never had a key.
Before we did this interview, you and I talked about an interview that you saw me do for this program with Danny Aiello.
Loved it.
Yeah, and I think that maybe the reason you loved it was because of how he talked about his family and about his mom.
So on the money, so on the money. In fact, I called you and I called him, or tried to, just to tell you how much I love the show. And I wish I had said the things that Danny Aiello said that day. That's what I mean. And young people would be really encouraged by a show like that.
I said it when when Danny broke down when he was talking about his mom, and I'll say it to you when I saw you get emotional about your mom and about growing up in your family. When people see this interview, they may go to the phone and call their mom and say, Mom, I love you.
Boy, they went way ahead.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. Go way ahead. That's the way the world's going to hell.
Exactly.
You know, that's why the world is going to hell, because families are not enough mothers in the world.
What kind of a dad are you?
I think the best. Because I love them so dearly and I spoil them rotten.
You do.
Oh, yeah, and I'm proud of it.
You've had such a great life, and talking to you about it, you have learned to enjoy it. You really do enjoy your life.
Yep.
Are you wanting for anything?
Yeah. More years, I think. I want to live long enough now to raise my little children, okay? I've had so much joy in raising the ones who are already big. And I got some small ones now, an 18-year-old and a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Does death worry you at all?
No. I'm thoroughly convinced that I'm not leaving. I'm sticking around. I'm going to defy. I'm a Greek, you know?